Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I will go present the content of the article about Musharakah, Mutanaqisah home financing. Before we proceed, I would like to introduce my group members. My name is Nur Fasihah binti Muhammad Noor.
My name is Nur Ashiki binti Wahid.
Okay, hi. My name is Nur Muzila binti Imam Muzail.
Hello everyone, my name is Nur Hamizah binti Halim.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Nurul Hidayah Nasuha binti Muhammad Anwar.
I will present about the issues and objective of the article. There are 6 issues that we are found in the article. Firstly, about impermissibility of 2 or more agreements in one package. Musharakah Mutanaqisah comprises many independent contracts, and to combine more than one contract in a package is permissible, and there is no condition imposed by one on the others. If all these transactions have been combined by making each of them a condition to the other, then this is not permissible from Sharia perspective. Second issue is about ambiguities on the use of the promise wa'ad in Musharakah Mutanaqisah agreement. If we accept wa'ad to be obligatory, then the bank can impose a fine if the customer fails to fulfill his or her promise. In the other way, if the fulfillment of wa'ad is considered not compulsory but just a moral obligation, this means it would be up to the customers to fulfill his or her promise, and the bank cannot impose any form of penalty. Third issue is about the controversy over issues of ownership risk. In this contract, ownership risk is totally borne by the customer, even though the bank is a partner in the contract. But if the cost of the damage, natural calamity, or an action of unrelated third party, then both the bank and customer share the loss according to the share. Fourth issue is the use of interest-based benchmark of profit calculation. This practice is rejected by scholars, and there are suggestions to use actual rental rates instead of interest-based benchmarks for Musharakah Mutanaqisah home financing. Fifth issue is about practical revolution of property. During Musharakah Mutanaqisah agreement, it is suggested that revolution of asset value to their fair value should take place at certain periods to be agreed by both parties. This way makes both bank and customer would jointly bear the ownership risk. And the last issue is about security pledge. The customer is required to deposit certain amount of money for safekeeping in the bank, and this amount could only be withdrawn upon final settlement of the facility. Next, we move to the objective of the article. There are 3 objectives of the article. First is to examine the practical issues in Musharakah Mutanaqisah financing. The problems are ambiguous, and financing mode in Musharakah Mutanaqisah is said to be same as a conventional, but it is different. Second is recommend a possible solution to mitigate these issues. Islamic financial institutions should consider all property values to be fair value and share all costs involved in executing this contract. And the last objective is to improve the current Musharakah Mutanaqisah practice. Regulations and regulatory authorities setting Islamic finance standards should monitor Sharia Council decisions on Musharakah Mutanaqisah contracts. Next, I will pass to the next presenter.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you to Ms. Fasihah. Now I will present on salient feature of Musharakah Mutanaqisah. Based on the journal, 4 features had been recognized. First, Musharakah Mutanaqisah contract use 3 concepts: Musharakah partnership, al-bisal, and possible ijarah rent. However, it depends on the subject of partnership. Secondly, according to principle Musharakah, any loss in value of asset underlying contract will be shared in proportions to the partner share, which is capital in the asset. However, profit is shared according to mutually agreed ratio. Lastly, permissibility contract Musharakah Mutanaqisah Best Resolution number 136 of the OIC International Fiqh Academy 2004 after 56 meeting between OIC and SAC of Bank Negara Malaysia. The resolution explains regarding good involved, proportion profit and loss, and contract that both parties should follow. Okay, next, how Musharakah Mutanaqisah works. Let's talk about the modus operandi of Musharakah Mutanaqisah. For example, in the situation to buy a house, it involves two parties, they are customer and bank. In the first step, the customer and the bank form a partnership to raise a capital to purchase a property. Second, the customer and the bank become the joint owner of the property based on the ratio payment in purchasing the property. For example, the customer ratio 10% and the bank ratio is 19%. Then, the bank starts sharing profit or loss with the customer or lease its share to the customer in return for a monthly rental for a predetermined period. Next, the customer gradually buy out the bank share in the partnership until the customer buy 100% ownership from the bank. That's how the customer get total ownership of his property. Next, I will pass to the next presenter for important content.
Thank you, Ms. Ashki. So now I will proceed to the important contents of this article. So for the first important contents of this article is rules and regulations pertaining to Musharakah Mutanaqisah in Malaysia. There are two types of contract that are used according to general guidelines issued by Bank Negara Malaysia. As for example, for the purpose of asset acquisition and for the venturing in profit-generating business activities, they must be governed respectively by Sheikh Al-Milk, which is the joint ownership of two or more persons, and Sheikh Al-Aqad, which is a joint commercial enterprise. Musharakah Mutanaqisah of the purpose of asset acquisition, it may be arranged by other contracts such as ijarah, ijarah musufah fi zimmah, by musawamah, and istisna. For the nature of assets, BNM has differentiated for it, namely completed, which is the purchase of completed asset, may be arranged by both parties jointly purchase the assets from the third party, and uncompleted, which is the transaction for uncompleted asset, may be arranged by istisna, which is both partners enter into istisna contract with the third party. Okay, for the second contents is Musharakah Mutanaqisah as practiced in Malaysia. Conventional bank treats home finance as loan product. Principal, markup, and rate of interest are the examples of the only one agreement that stipulates the conditions of loans. Okay. The primary difference between Musharakah Mutanaqisah lies in the fact that the ownership rights are not gradually transferred in case of conventional home finance, which is transferred to the customer only upon the completion of the loan. The value of asset does not change during the nature of loan. Therefore, no gain or loss earned by the bank for the loan. And the only source of remuneration is interest income. It is clear that there cannot be comparison of both. The product of Musharakah Mutanaqisah is essentially deemed a trade product, whereas the conventional home finance is loan product. Okay, the next important content is research methodology. The data were gathered by collecting Musharakah Mutanaqisah financing documents from Malaysia Islamic Bank. Also, they have conducting interviews with the bank's customer and respective bankers, which is home finance. So now, I will pass to the next presenter.